Good evening and welcome to the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor. Secretary, will you please take roll?
Sorry. Assembly members Anderson, Carter, Cole, Hardy, Howdigy, Kasama, Miller, Monroe Moreno, O'Neill, Roth, Torres Fawcett, Yeager, Urick, and Chair Marzola.
Here. Welcome everyone that is here with us in Carson City tonight. We have a full house. Those in Las Vegas and anyone tuning in over the internet. Today we will hear three bills: Assembly Bill 404, Assembly Bill 437, and Assembly Bill 448. I will be taking those bills in order. Before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping announcements. Members of the public may provide testimony in various ways, which are all listed on the agenda. When testifying, please remember to turn on your microphone to talk and off to listen, and also remember to state and spell your name for the record. If you have handouts for the committee, please provide 20 copies to the committee secretary prior to your testimony. Committee information is available through the legislature's website. You may also watch our meetings through the legislature's YouTube channel. We ask that public comments be kept to 2 minutes per person so that everyone can be accommodated. I expect courtesy and respect in all our interactions in this committee, even if we may not agree. Finally, please check your electronic devices, especially your cell phones. You can either turn them off or put them on silent mode. And with that, we will go to our first agenda item. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 404. This measure revises provisions relating to alcoholic beverages. Welcome, Assembly Member. While you're preparing yourself, I just want to kind of give the lay of the land. I am limiting testimony for all the three bills today. We will do 30 minutes in support, 30 minutes in opposition, and 30 minutes in neutral, which means 10 minutes here in Carson City, 10 minutes in Las Vegas, and 10 minutes on the phone lines. With that, you may begin.
Thank you so much, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I am Howard Watts, representing Assembly District 15. It's my pleasure to present Assembly Bill 404 for your consideration today. Just to give you a quick lay of the land for this presentation, I'm going to talk briefly about why I brought this bill. Then I'm going to turn it over to my co-presenter, Wendy Forrest, who can talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of how these issues impact small businesses here in the state. And then finally, I will walk you through an amendment. I did provide it late. We've been in ongoing conversations pretty much right up to this meeting, but did want to make sure that copies were provided to all of you as well as to the public. So just to give you an overview, the district that I represent happens to be home to a lot of wonderful small businesses, including many craft breweries. On Main Street, off of Charleston, we have many, including Craft House, Able Baker, Huddle, Nevada Brew Works, Bad Beat, and Hop Nuts, and I'm probably missing another one or two. And these are wonderful businesses that are also using their creativity to create and sell craft beer in our state, and really help create community as well. And so, I've had the opportunity to chat with folks in the industry, learn about some of their issues and concerns, and try and figure out how we can support these locally grown small businesses in our state. Just to set the stage at a high level, we have a three-tier system for the distribution and management of alcoholic beverages in our state. Those three tiers are production, wholesale or distribution, and retail. And those were all broken up. This was coming out of Prohibition. There were rackets and monopolies, and so those were broken up in order to prevent monopolies, promote accountability, and also to help support small and local businesses. And craft breweries are small and local businesses, and so we've seen a growing trend to make laws that accommodate them because not one size fits all. So in general, what we see in many states is that there are laws specific to craft local beverage industries, all subject to a limit on how much of a product they can produce. And then that allows them some additional flexibility. One of the biggest things being that they can both produce and sell or retail their beverages. There was some concern with the bill as it was originally written that it would lead to a fundamental changing of that three-tier system. And that's, we heard those concerns from local distributors as well as representatives of the employees that work for them, including union locals. And that's what resulted in the amendment that is brought before you today. So it preserves that system while I think making some necessary clarifications to our law and also providing some new opportunities both for the small businesses in our state as well as for the entire supply chain related to them. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Ms. Forrest.
My name is Wendy Forrest, spelled W-Y-N-D-E-E, last name F-O-R-R-E-S-T. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. I am the proud owner of Craft House Brewery in Henderson and Las Vegas for the last 10 years. I have also served as the president of the Nevada Craft Brewers Association for 5 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today in strong support of Assembly Bill 404. As a small business owner, I see firsthand the vital role we play in our communities. Small businesses are the backbone of Nevada's economy. We create jobs, invest in neighborhoods, give back to our communities, and build character within our cities. But to continue doing that, we need fair and modern policies that reflect today's marketplace. Here's the reality. Only 2% of beer sales in Nevada are made in Nevada. That means 98% of the beer consumed here comes from outside of our state. Meanwhile, Clark County consecutively ranks year after year in the top 3 nationally for alcohol consumption per capita. Yet Nevada ranks 48th in the nation for beer production. Currently, 11 surrounding states have production volume average of 4.7 times that of Nevada. That's a massive disconnect and a missed opportunity for our state. AB 404 gives us a chance to start closing that gap by allowing Nevada brew pubs to ship direct to consumers outside our state borders. Brew pubs were granted this privilege to ship direct to consumers in 2020, but that privilege was rescinded in 2021. However, it's important to note that wineries are permitted to ship direct to consumer here in Nevada, as well as 48 other states. This isn't just good for brew pubs, it's great for Nevada. When we're able to share our Nevada-made products across state lines, we build recognition for the quality being crafted here, as well as create more Teamster jobs moving our Nevada-made products. Our relationships with our distributors are vital to our success, and we thank them for that. That exposure drives travel, tourism, and pride in products born and brewed right here in Nevada. We become ambassadors for our state. Direct-to-consumer shipping also opens a new sales channel that increases revenue and boosts Nevada sales tax without costing taxpayers a dime. That's new money going back into Nevada communities. Equally important is protecting and growing our tasting rooms. These spaces are vital not just only for brew pubs, they're an ecosystem driver. Tasting rooms generate added tax revenue, create more volume for our wholesalers to move, and open additional routes for Nevada's Teamsters. Beyond the economic impact, tasting rooms serve as a welcoming communal space where locals and visitors alike gather, connect, and experience the best of Nevada's craft culture. They are a front porch and often a guest's first impression for our community. And let's be clear, our industry is not without its challenges. We're currently facing significant headwinds from tariffs on aluminum cans, steel kegs, raw materials, such as malted barley, which is essential for our production. These increasing costs are not optional. They eat into an already razor-thin margin for small brew pubs, and what we need is flexibility and modern tools like direct-to-consumer shipping to help weather these financial storms and remain viable in our state. AB 404 empowers small breweries to innovate, compete, and grow, not just survive. And it keeps more of Nevada's dollars working for Nevadans. I urge you to support AB 404 and help ensure that small businesses have a chance to thrive, tell our story beyond our state borders, and continue contributing to Nevada's culture and economy. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Howard Watts for the record. So now I'd like to walk you very quickly through the amendment to the bill and then just provide a little bit of closing context before I take any questions. I do want to direct your attention to the amendment because the first 3 points in that delete all of the language that is in the bill as it was introduced. So looking at the bill at this point is not very helpful. Point number 4 would essentially add a new section into the existing NRS related to brew pubs, which is how we in statute refer to craft breweries. And it would, this and the next section are really clarifying language. These tap rooms as well as breweries operate with state, local licensing under existing guidance from the Department of Taxation. But there's been some questions raised about the clarity. As I have spent quite a bit of time looking through this, I've seen some other state statutes that I think are a little bit more clear. And so we're trying to make sure that we get some of that clarity into our state law as well. So item number 4 would add a new section clarifying that a brew pub or craft brewery can sell other alcoholic beverages, not just what they produce themselves, at their brew pub, as long as they have all the relevant local licensing and they bring those in using a wholesaler. So that's what the complying with NRS 369-487 and NRS 369-488 involves. So this basically allows, maybe you meet your friends at the craft brewery, but you're a wine person. Now the craft brewery can, through a distributor, have some wine on site and offer that for sale as well as another option. Section 5 adds clarification around tap rooms or tasting rooms. So this is a site where the brewing of beer is not happening, but it's another location that's branded, that's run by the same entity to make sure that there's additional access for folks in Clark or Washoe counties. You know, it's a large geographic area. And so instead of going across town, now maybe your main facility is in Henderson, but you can open a tap room in downtown Las Vegas. You could open one in North Las Vegas. And so this clarifies that by making it explicit that a brew pub can sell their own products as well as other products, just like they would at their own brewing facility, at another tap room facility. And again, it has 2 clear requirements in this proposal. 1, they have to have all of the relevant licensing that any facility would need to do that. And 2, they would have to comply with those sections. So all of the products, and I want to be clear here, including their own beer that they brewed, would have to be transported through a wholesaler or distributor and then purchased by them for sale at retail at that facility. And that is the status quo. It's been used by many different craft breweries across the state, but we want to make sure that it's clear and codified into law. And then Section 6 speaks particularly to some of the things that Ms. Forrest was talking about. And this adds language making it clear that these craft breweries could also sell beer direct to consumers outside of the state. So when applicable law allows. So again, that ensures that we're trying to protect and promote our local economy, but some of these beers are award-winning. They're getting entered into competitions. If somebody in another part of the country wants to try some of that award-winning beverage, this would allow a craft brewery to sell that to that person. I know wine clubs have become very popular. I've participated in a couple. This would also allow some of these entities to offer beer clubs, again, only to folks outside of the state. Again, we're trying to strike that balance of making sure that we understand and the issues that were raised by distributors, and by the folks that work for them, and help promote all of our local economy as much as we can, while also finding ways to create additional access and opportunities in our state. So that is what the amendment aims to do. I just want to note before I close that we have had ongoing conversations. I received a proposed amendment yesterday at noon as we continued to work through some of these issues. And I think there's definitely agreement that some of this clarity in sections 4 and 5 that I've talked about is needed. I just want to go ahead and put out there some of the outstanding issues that we're still trying to work through that came through in that amendment yesterday. One is a limit on tap rooms, how many a particular brewery could have. In short, I'll just say that this varies from state to state. Some do not have a limit, some do. And so we are trying to figure out how, I think we're open to it, but we're trying to figure out something that strikes the right balance of allowing some access without being overly restrictive. The second was there was a proposal to limit tap rooms to only be in the county where the brewery is present. That's a pretty novel concept in some of the other state laws that we've looked at. So that's something we're still thinking about. There was a proposed buffer around non-restricted gaming establishments. There have been concerns raised that potentially some loopholes could somehow be used, and a large brewery could essentially open a tap room within a major resort. I just want to be clear that we have a strict limit on production in the state that is aimed at making sure these things only apply to our local small producers. But I do think also strip rents are quite expensive, resort rents. So I think that that's something that we're definitely open to considering. We just want to look a little bit closer at the details on that. Another was kind of audit authority. I need to look into that a little bit more, because my understanding is that any entity that's licensed through, for example, the State Department of Taxation or local government has to make its records available if there are any questions, but may be open to making some sort of language clear about the ability to have those records available. And then finally, there was also some discussion around requiring that all transactions between a wholesaler and a retailer be done via ETF to prevent cash transactions. Again, in the few conversations that I've had since yesterday afternoon, I don't think that's a very common practice, so we can definitely talk about and work on that as well. And so I think really the fundamental issues are ongoing conversations about what is a reasonable limit on the number of tap rooms that a brew pub or craft brewery can have, and talking through a little bit more the proposal to limit them specifically within the boundaries of county lines. And just want to express my appreciation for everyone who has engaged in the conversations up to this point. And hopefully we can get those issues resolved over the next couple of days. With that, thank you for your time, and we'll answer any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you for your presentation. Start with Assemblymember Torres Fawcett.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your work on this. And I know obviously this piece of legislation has changed a lot from the bill form that we have in front of us and from the conceptual amendment that I have in front of me. So I just want to be very clear. In this piece of legislation as written, does it include anything that would bypass the use of distributors as it stands right now?
Thank you for that question, Assemblymember Torres. Howard Watts for the record. No, it does not. So in particular, if you look at the conceptual amendment, both in Section 4 and Section 5, we have explicit language when it says complies with NRS 369.487 and NRS 369.488. Our intention, and we got some other language that is very close to that, is to require that all of those things I discussed have to go through a wholesaler, and so it maintains that process through the three-tier system.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I know that that's different than what's initially in front of us today, so I think that it's helpful to be clear that this would still require for us to use those distributors as is currently used. Another piece of clarification I wanted to know was whether or not there's any other states doing something similar to this as it pertains to the sale of craft beer.
Thank you for that question. Howard Watts for the record. Yes, so I mean, tap rooms are extremely common. I don't have the statistics in front of me right now, but they are in almost every single state. I did do a little bit of looking at some of our neighboring states. Arizona allows tap rooms. They allow up to 7 for a brewery. Oregon, it looks like, is unlimited in how many tap rooms a brewery can have. Utah, I could not find a clear limit, so upon my cursory reading, it looked like they also have no limit on the number of tap rooms that a brewery can have. Idaho does have a limit of 1. One thing I want to note is that all of those states also allow those tap rooms to bypass a distributor and go directly from the brewery to the tap room for sale to consumers. So that is something that in conversations we wanted to make sure we did a little bit different and made that clarification within the law. I also just want to note there's already statutory language for our craft wineries here that allows them to have tasting rooms. We have distilleries that have tasting rooms. There's another piece of legislation coming before this body that would also make sure or clarify that estate distilleries can sell other beverages within their tasting rooms. So there's definitely some other precedent that we are borrowing from in some of the language that you see before you in the proposed amendment.
Assemblymember Hardy.
Thank you, Chair, and I just want to acknowledge the work you've done on this bill, and just thank you for taking into consideration everyone's concerns, and I know what you've put into this. So I just wanted to, just for my own knowledge, you mentioned that this bill doesn't change like the limit on production that currently exists. So what is that?
Wendy Forrest for the record. So we, as brew pubs, can make 40,000 barrels annually. In addition, 20,000 barrels, but that has to leave the state of Nevada. And we are capped at 5,000 barrels annually to sell at retail.
Assemblymember O'Neill.
I have 2 questions, if I may. Don't laugh, I don't drink beer, but my stepson really appreciates this bill. How big is the barrel? How many gallons are we talking about is one question, if I may.
Wendy Forrest for the record. A barrel is 31 gallons. So when you see the large kegs, those are a half barrel each, for a point of reference.
And if I may, Chair, when you start talking about limiting brew pubs just to a county, you were talking about Clark County, and I appreciate that. It's a large county with multiple cities within it. But I'd like you to think of, if you just limit it to counties, we have brew pubs here in Carson City, in Reno, and Virginia City I mean, would be a good location for either one of those places to expand to, but it's a different county, let alone Douglas. So I'm trying to think of the question there. Do you agree with that? Think of outside of Clark County. Would you agree with that statement?
Howard Watts for the record. Yes, that is definitely one of the considerations when thinking about an in-county limit is, obviously between Carson City, Douglas, Story, Lyon, and Washoe counties. You can definitely think about there being a lot of geographic closeness, but multiple different counties involved. So appreciate you raising that issue.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the time, Chair.
Assemblymember Cole.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I will drink all of his beer. I love beer. Thank you very much. So I guess my question is largely, why do we need this? And I guess my question is, what do you mean by sell at retail? Because I think of Great Basin, I go there and I can buy beer, they manufacture it there, and I can actually go over to Rayleigh's and buy a six-pack there if you wanted to. So, what is this bill trying to do that you can't already do?
Thank you for that question. Howard Watts for the record. That's a really good question, and so I'll try and talk through it. I think fundamentally, and obviously this has been a process. There were some other ideas that we moved away from along the way. Fundamentally, one of the things that we're trying to do is just increase opportunities for craft breweries. You heard there's some policy changes that happened, and so right now they cannot ship beer, period. So we're trying to increase that opportunity for them to get their name and brand out there and get their product out there by opening up shipping outside of the state, to people outside of the state. And that would be literally shipping from the brewery to an individual who has essentially gone onto a website and said, I would like this beer. So that's the big thing. The other language is clarifying. Again, it's because there's been some discussions and some debate about this. And while there is existing guidance and licensing that all of these tap rooms follow, we thought it was important to try and settle the issue and clarify our statutory language that allows for these two things. One, a craft brewery to sell not just their beer, but other alcoholic beverages. So that's in item number 4. And to open a tap room where they can sell their beer and other beverages. That's item number 5. And why do we need this? We just want to make sure that there's some regulatory certainty for the industry. When you talk about retail, Ms. Forrest talked about that a little bit. So a 5,000 barrel limit on the production. And what would happen is they brew that, and then they sell that as a producer to a wholesaler. That wholesaler sells it to the retailer for sale. And so it goes through that 3-tier system. That happens if it's going to be sold at a grocery store like Rayleigh's. It happens for that beer to go and be sold at Allegiant Stadium or another venue. All of that would stay the same. And that exact same process would be and is currently followed by tap rooms. So I think that's the key thing to understand is that right now a brew pub can brew their beer and then immediately sell that beer on the premises of the brewery. As soon as it leaves, it has to go through a wholesaler, through a distributor. And so tap rooms buy back the beer that they produce to sell it at retail.
Committee members, any additional questions? Assemblymember Yurick.
Thank you, Chair. And I should probably disclose a potential conflict of interest because I am a huge fan of both the wineries and the brew pubs. And really tying those two together, I see that you have definitely under this new amendment, which I'm going to reiterate what my colleague said, you've done a lot of work to identify and work on these issues. And we've borrowed language from the wineries and the tasting rooms and the brew pubs and the tap rooms. Can you help me understand what the differences are between how, I mean, obviously I imagine quantities and the measurements and all that are somewhat different as well, but the differences in the parts of the law that we're using in the wine industry and bringing it over into this now beer industry, how are they different, and did we bring over any lessons learned, or are there any lessons that we should learn from our current statutory construction for the wineries?
Howard Watts for the record. That is a great question that can get complicated really quickly. Here's what I'll say from my perspective. There are different sections of statute dealing with each, and sometimes they don't always line up. Obviously, they're all different. They're different beverages. Some states treat each one differently. Some states treat all kind of craft beverages the same, right? So they set a limit on how much they can produce to be kind of considered small or craft, and then provide a different regulatory framework for those. I won't opine too much past that, other than to say that, yes, there are different chapters, and one of the things we definitely did in constructing this amendment was look what's in other chapters of statute, as well as what some other states have in their statute, to kind of bring forward this, the language that you see before you. And then I think Ms. Forrest had something she wanted to add.
Wendy Forrest for the record. Thank you for that question. So wineries are allowed to ship direct to consumer, for instance, Wine of the Month Club, where distilleries and brew pubs are not permitted. We did have that privilege in 2020, but again, it was rescinded in 2021. So there is a disparity in treating manufacturers separately. That's kind of the difference as far as large scale for our state.
Committee members, any additional questions? Assemblymember Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are breweries in other states. Is there anything in the old bill, the current amendment, that would allow out-of-state breweries to come into the state of Nevada and be competition for our breweries with us?
There is nothing that prohibits it, and actually,
Can you state your name?
Sorry, Wendy Forrest for the record. There's nothing in NRS that prohibits it, and actually, the craft beer industry is built on camaraderie, and we welcome other breweries to come into our state and help build the craft beer industry.
Howard Watts for the record. I think, this is also a difficult thing in some of the conversations that we've had. It's also very difficult in how you craft some of these things to make sure that you comply with interstate commerce laws and other things. And so one of the fundamental tools that we've seen across many states is that barrel limit. So the fact that there is a limit on production keeps breweries small. So even if they might have started in another state and they say, now I want to come to Nevada and open up, they can do that. They're subject to those production limits so that they still have the character of a small brewery. And so that is the primary way that we look to kind of protect and promote small businesses.
Okay, so if they were to come to Nevada, they would have to come here, get a business license to do business within our state and set up brick and mortar in the state. They couldn't just come here and open a tap house.
Howard Watts for the record. Thank you so much for that clarifying question. That's correct. So they would have to get a business license. They would have to get any relevant licenses from the State Department of Taxation, from the local government to operate their facilities. And they would have to produce that product here in the state of Nevada.
Members, any questions? Assemblymember Cole.
Just to follow along on that just popped up in my brain. So how often is it that there are small businesses, small breweries that fall into that limit on the barrel that end up getting purchased by the big guys? And so even the flavor and like everything seems like it's a small business, but it's really not.
Wendy Forrest for the record. That was the trend about 10 years ago for large breweries to come in and buy smaller breweries that appeared as craft breweries. That's not the trend for our industry currently. Our market is at 0% growth nationally. Not a lot, but there are a handful of breweries within Nevada that have consolidated. There are a handful of brew pubs in Nevada that have closed recently. So I think, opening up these small little levers of distribution and a way for us to promote our product to also increase tourism is a benefit not only to the brew pubs, but also to Nevada.
Howard Watts for the record. I'd just add, you heard some of the statistics at the beginning of the share that comes from our local brewers, and they definitely are struggling. Again, we've had a lot of conversations to see what we can do, and that barrel limit is the legal mechanism that we use to try and keep the emphasis on local small businesses. But yes, they've been struggling. There has been some kind of mergers of entities within the state. There have been some closures as well.
Last chance. Is there any additional questions? I don't see any. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to move back. And we will move to support testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to provide testimony in support of Assembly Bill 404? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You each have 2 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Paul Moradkin, M-O-R-A-D-K-H-A-N with the Vegas Chamber. First of all, the Chamber would like to thank the bill sponsor for bringing the bill forward. The Chamber supports AB 404 on the premise that it is a small business bill, and this bill amended clarifies the tap rooms are permissible and can operate at the local government level with the appropriate licensing requirements. We view that those small businesses should have that clarification state law to operate. This bill is about supporting an industry that is really driven by small business and entrepreneurs, as you heard. It's about your neighborhood brewery and giving them the necessary protections for any unclarity that may exist. We see AB 404 as a job preservation bill for this industry, and we ask you to support the bill as amended. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Peter Saba, S-A-B as in Bravo A, and I'm the Senior Manager of Government Affairs for the Nevada Restaurant Association. AB 404 modernizes and improves the framework for how brew pubs operate in our state. This is a game changer for local business growth and consumer access. It supports Nevada's vibrant and growing craft beer industry while maintaining regulatory oversight. Importantly, this bill also addresses the frankly ridiculous inefficiencies in our current system. That kind of outdated and unnecessary red tape hurts small businesses and makes zero sense in today's market. We also appreciate that AB 404 updates the definition of special event to better reflect how community events actually function. This allows more restaurants and brew pubs to participate in local events that drive foot traffic and tourism. AB 404 is a thoughtful and timely bill that supports small businesses, drives innovation in the hospitality sector, cuts through unnecessary bureaucracy, and enhances the consumer experience. Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. Brian Walker, Senior Vice President of the Retail Association of Nevada. We are in favor of AB 404. We want to thank the sponsor. This is one of those to stay on, I guess, my talking points for the evening, eliminating some of these middlemen where we're not quite sure that they are providing enhanced value and are in some cases providing some barriers to entry for smaller retailers in our communities. And so for that reason, we support the bill and we appreciate the sponsor's efforts.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in support? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
I'm Tom Young, the founder of Great Basin Brewing Company, who's Nevada's oldest operating brewery. I was here in '91 when we got the first law passed to allow breweries in the state, and I must say that first law had a lot of restrictions in it. Through the years, we've worked through a lot of those restrictions and grown as an industry and things too. However, I am very bothered by the fact that Ms. Forrest mentioned that we're 48th in per capita beer production in this state. And the simple reason for that is that we have a lot of restrictions on the brewing industry here in the state of Nevada. This bill, AB 404, is an opportunity to start lifting some of these things. It's really a very small move, but it means a lot for us small businesses to get rolling and go and grow. And I'm honored to be here before this committee, and I'm excited to see the industry continuing. And I must add, I do no longer own Great Basin Brewing Company. I did sell it, so I'm the founder and operated it with my wife for 30 years. Thanks.
Ken Foster, Kenfoster, co-founder and CEO of Parlay 6 Brewing Company. I'd just like to state that I worked in the industry here about 2 decades, and I've worked with multiple distributors in the state of Nevada. I have a great relationship with them. This is not an attack on the 3-tier system. It's just that running and operating some of these breweries, and especially the brew pubs, is extremely hard, and restricting us from being able to sell other products or open up additional infrastructure that supports the 3-tier system and allows additional volume for the distributor just seems nonsensical to me. Brings more tax revenue, creates more jobs, and it's good for Nevada all the way around. We're in support of AB 404. Thank you.
Paul Young, Paulyoung. I'm the owner of Shoe Tree Brewing Company here in town, and also on the board of the Nevada Craft Brewers Association. With my time, we'll talk about how the direct-to-consumer out of state would be great for us. We've had a handful of award-winning beers, and beers go viral. One time we had a beer go viral, and I had the phone ringing off the hook at the brewery of people asking me, "Can you please sell me this beer?" And I'm like, I cannot. So it would be a huge opportunity for us to be able to, when something like that happens, to capitalize on it and expand our brand outside of the state of Nevada. We're in heavy support of this bill, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in support? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 404? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. And once you're done testifying, if you can get up so the next person can take the seat. You may begin when you're ready.
Good evening, Chair Marzola and members of the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor. Scott Muellrath, Muellrath, President and CEO of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce, here speaking in support of AB 404 as amended. And I think, from our vantage, representing nearly 2,200 businesses in Nevada, the craft brewers are quite possibly the most family-run type of business in our state. And they create a product that's made right here in Nevada. And if you go on a tour of a craft brewer, that tour is most likely going to be conducted by the owner of that brewery. And it's much effort that they produce their product, typically very much family-run businesses. The margins are very thin, and it's a capital-intensive business as well. So I think as amended, AB 404 creates some further opportunities for these hardworking men and women to make a lifestyle and create a product that our entire community can be proud of. So hopefully you will support AB 404. Thank you.
For the record, my name is Linda Lovelady, Linda Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Since 1997, when my husband accepted a brewing position with Gordon Biersch in Las Vegas, we moved our family with our baby and another child on the way to Henderson. Since then, the brewery has been supporting my family. In turn, we have been supporting the community. 9 years ago, my family invested millions of dollars to build Lovelady Brewing Company in Henderson. Our hope at that time was to bring redevelopment to Water Street. Our vision is coming to fruition. Among other products that have been completed since we opened our doors, the Watermark, a 7-story mixed-use building, is set to open in May. We are a small business that invests in our Nevada neighborhood. In addition to spurring redevelopment in the area, we wanted to hire Nevadans who see the position at our brewery as a stepping stone to other opportunities. We have employed college students who have moved on to become FBI agents, Clark County School District teachers, and a teacher who became a vice principal. We have employed a single mom who was attending school to earn a certificate that would allow her to work in the medical field. Not only are we a small business that hires Nevadans, but we encourage our employees to advance themselves, which in turn advances Nevada's economy. Love Lady Brewing Company also supports our community by partnering with nonprofits. In addition to preparing a meal once a month for a homeless day shelter in downtown Henderson, we love to invite and donate to high school bands to play at our events. Last September, we had the pleasure to host the Del Sol Mariachi Band during our Spanish Heritage Month celebration. In March, for our 9th anniversary event, we raised over $1,100 for the Green Valley Jazz Combo. We are a small business that gives character to our city. AB 404 revises a law to allow additional locations and the ability to sell other alcoholic beverage at retail.
Ma'am, can you please finalize your statement?
Yes, the precedent was both set in SB 259 and SB 249. Nevada support Nevada's small manufacturing businesses. The wholesalers and Teamsters vote yes on AB 404.
Thank you for your testimony. Whenever the next person is ready, you may begin.
For the record, Richard Lovelady, RICHARD LOVELADY, owner operator of Lovelady Brewing. I've been brewing in the state for 28 years now. I'll keep it brief. I want to be in support of this bill. It works within the framework of our 3-tier system. I think it's a win-win-win for all the tiers and for our small breweries. In closing, I'll say that most of the small breweries in the state are struggling right now. And unless we carve out some opportunities for our small breweries, I have a feeling in 2 years, if we come back, it will be a lot less of us representing and asking for this. And it's not like we're asking for a tax break or money from the state. We're just asking to tweak the system so we can work within it and hopefully keep more of what we earn and make. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert Saucier. That's spelled S-A-U-C-I-E-R. I represent the Las Vegas Distillery, which is a small local craft distillery first founded in 2008. We do not brew beer nor make wine, but rather our focus is on making distillery spirits such as vodka, rum, gin, bourbon, whiskeys, and coffee liqueur, among others. Because the bill has changed and there's different amendments that I haven't seen, I can't really opine on all of it, but there was one part of what was formerly known as Section 3 that I did want to present to this committee. I believe there's an opportunity to correct an irony and a hypocrisy that was likely overlooked by prior legislatures when the statute was first drafted. Let me explain. Nevada currently allows alcohol to be shipped into our state directly to a person within our state from any producer outside the state. The irony is that beverages can be shipped to Nevadans from anywhere in the world except from Nevada. To further explain this process, we go to an out-of-state supplier's website, we order a bottle of spirits, pay for it on their webpage, and enter our shipping address. Days later, the package containing the spirits arrives at our doorstep. This complete end-to-end transaction does not involve or include any Nevada business or regulatory agency. As a result, only suppliers outside Nevada profit from these sales into our state. They use these profits to expand their business, add to their employees in their state. Likewise, the governments where these out-of-state suppliers are located benefit from the taxes generated from these sales. Conversely, Nevada businesses and governments never receive a dime from this. Worse yet, current Nevada law prohibits Nevada businesses from competing with their out-of-state competitors. In other words, Nevada consumers can buy from non-Nevada businesses, but not businesses invested and located here in Nevada. It just doesn't seem to make any sense.
Sir, if I can
Federal
please.
enforcement concern here.
Sir, if I can please have you wrap up your testimony, your time is up.
I'm 2 sentences away. There's no federal enforcement concern, and in fact, most states allow for both interstate and intrastate alcohol sales. This decision clearly lies in your hands, so I urge you to consider this in the amendment of the crafting of the bill. Thank you.
Hello, Kyle Dolder, Kyle Dolder, co-founder, co-owner of Las Vegas Brewing Company. Just wanted to shed some light with respect to multiple taproom locations. We do have a fully operating brewery, restaurant, and bar, and an additional taproom in the Arts District. One thing that kind of continues to come to light is the understanding of the transportation between the entities and how that may impact in the future, jobs along the line. One interesting aspect of that, and just to kind of emphasize, being an owner of a full bar, which has spirits, wine, food, and basically a full service restaurant, is the amount of people in our chain and supply chain that allow us to operate our business, whether that's the truck drivers for the food, for the spirits and wine that we buy from the same distributors that we might distribute our beer through, but then the linen companies, the dry goods companies, and everybody else that helps service our taproom locations. So the way I see it is that it's a multiplying effect with respect to additional taprooms that have kind of a heightened presence with the craft beer and an attraction for tourists and people visiting our cities. We are supporting a lot of layers of business with what we're doing and the brands that we're growing that help support a long list of additional products that we have brought to our locations. Thank you.
Good evening, Sam DeWitt, S-A-M-D-E, capital W-I-T-T. Chair and members of the committee, my name is Sam DeWitt, State Government Affairs Director for the Brewers Association, the 501c6 national trade group dedicated to promoting and protecting America's craft brewers, their beers, and the hundreds of thousands of craft beer lovers from coast to coast. I'm here today in strong support of Assembly Bill 404, a reasonable update to the statutes governing craft beer in Nevada. Members of this committee have surely seen the work the Nevada Craft Brewers Association has done in preparing for this legislation. Not only have they made contact with members of the Assembly and Senate explaining the need for reforms, but along with the Brewers Association, they've attempted to find consensus with our opposition. We're happy to be at this point and willing to work more in future sessions to address other obstacles facing this small but important industry. As the National Trade Association for Craft Beer, we have made direct shipping in multiple states a priority. Not only is there extreme customer demand, for instance, this year's Sovos Ship Compliant Direct-to-Consumer Beer Shipping Report shows nearly 70% of regular craft beer drinkers want to enjoy beer they cannot get in their local retail or on-premise outlets and would spend upwards of $50 a month on craft beer if it could be shipped to them directly. Another 69% would likely join a monthly or quarterly beer club to enjoy beers that are unavailable through traditional retail channels. Our friends in the wholesale tier will surely agree that they can't carry every product every brewer makes to every market, either in-state or nationally. This small, reasonable change allows brewers to build their brands to keep customers coming back to visit again and again, all while seeding markets that can one day be served by wholesalers as smart growth allows. The system for shipping beer has been tested and perfected by our friends in the wine industry and common carriers like UPS, which I'll add is the nation's largest employer of Teamster labor, and shown to be safe, efficient, and effective at getting products to the of-age consumers who made the order. In addition to allowing new opportunity for craft brewers, AB 404 will solidify the rights of taproom businesses in Nevada, a key component of craft beer's proliferation nationally and a necessary component for Nevada craft beer to keep growing.
Sir, if you can please finalize your statement.
I'm rounding third, I promise. We appreciate you hearing AB 404. The Brewers Association urges a yes vote. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in support for Assembly Bill 404, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Again, if you wish to testify in support, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window. Amanda, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Hello, this is Amanda from North Fifth Brewing Co. We support this bill. My brother and I have opened this brewery during COVID, and so it's incredible the opportunity that we have, and we just wanted to say that we support this bill.
Thank you for your testimony. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Hello?
You may begin when you're ready. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Carolyn Fowler, F as in Frank, O-W-L-E-R, and I live down in Clark County, and I do frequent some of these brew pubs, and I am connected to a family that runs one, and I support the AB 404 as amended because they contribute so much to our community, and they're hardworking, and there's been so many federal changes lately that it's really put a pressure on these breweries, and they need to have as much flexibility as they can to sell their product. Thank you.
Cece, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Hi, my name is Cece Moggia, C-E-C-I-M-O-G-G-I-A. I work for Big Dog's Brewing Company in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I support AB 404.
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers for support at this time.
Thank you. Next, we will hear testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 404. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Alfredo Alonso, today on behalf of the Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association and Southern Glazer Wine and Spirits. First, I'd like to start with the fact that our Nevada brewers, our Nevada distributors are all family businesses. Everything from the largest, which is still a family-owned business, to our smallest in Fallon, Nevada, with, I believe, 7 employees. These are businesses that pay their employees very well, their careers in many cases. They are also embedded in the community. Every time you see a Budweiser sign, or a Coors sign, or a Molson sign, or a myriad of others, it's usually your wholesalers that are involved, not your suppliers. So it's important to also understand that the 3-tier system is it's very simple. If you make a product, you can't have a bar. That is what's being asked here. These tap rooms are not additional breweries. In fact, the statute's very clear. If you have a brew pub license, you can have multitude of these brew pubs if you wanted to. You just have to make beer. And so the question is exactly, why are we here? Why are we here to set a precedent? And even with the amendment, it's unlimited. So now you follow that logic to, you know, I'd be the first to tell you that if I owned a large brewery, I'd want to be in Nevada. We have 42 million plus people come to this state every year, and putting a large or a small brewery belonging to a large manufacturer and then having unlimited bars would be, frankly, very fortuitous for us. So,
Mr. Alonso, if
Ma'am,
you can
I'll
please
wrap
wrap
it
up
up.
your comment.
I'll wrap it up. Again, this is something that we are willing to have discussions. There are some issues that Mr. Watts has indicated there's movement on that we would love to continue having that conversation. But again, the tap room issue is a very difficult one for us, and I think that very, very well blows a huge hole in the three-tier system.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Chair. Brett Scolari with Strategies 360 here on behalf of Breakthrough Beverage Nevada. I will keep it short, just echo the comments of Mr. Alonso. I do appreciate Mr. Watts reaching out and engaging with us, and we will continue that engagement. I'm just reviewing the amendment now, and we will work on those issues that he did outline in his testimony. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Once you're done with your testimony, if you can please get up so the next person can come testify. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee and staff. Rick McCann for the record, MCCANN. I'm right here tonight representing Teamsters Local 14 and 986. As we sit here now, this bill will reduce union jobs, we believe, by affecting the second tier of the three-tier system, which is, of course, manufacture, transport or distribution, and retail sale. Perhaps not today, but we believe it will be in the future. Union drivers and union warehouse workers maintain the distribution of beer in this state. They are the basic need that we have. The sponsor has graciously indicated that he wants to protect our union workers, and I have no reason to doubt him. We're still working on that. There was a great amendment offered to the sponsor. He referenced it, and we're still talking about that kind of stuff now, so I think it's still a work in progress. We're worried about opening the door to large manufacturers who will come into the state, who will make, transport, that's the big part of it, transport, and sell without union workers. We're concerned that this will open up the door for that in the future. My next comment here. We don't fully think that language fully protects the second tier of the process. If any, and I mean any beer, is allowed to be transported, legally or not, without union drivers and warehouse workers, it will dilute, pardon the pun, the union market, one drop at a time. I had to put that in there. It's the future that we're concerned about, not necessarily the lost few cases today, but the future. We respectfully oppose AB 404. We hope to get to a point where we can support it. Right now, we have to oppose it. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Susie Martinez. We'd like to echo the comments made by the Teamsters, their concerns as well. We are opposed, but we do want to thank Assemblymember Watts for having conversations with them. We're looking forward to a future conversation so that we can find a resolution. Thank you.
Ross Kinson, KINSON, Teamsters Local 533, and President of the Northern Nevada Central Labor Council. I would just like to ditto the comments by Mr. Rick McCann. This is very concerning for us in our industry. We want to make sure that we continue to have good union jobs in this state. And as you can see, many of my members are over here in the corner, and it's something that they take very, very seriously. So we oppose the bill, and we are looking forward to continuing to work with Assemblymember Watts and hopefully get somewhere where we can protect our members as well as the interests of the folks that have brought the bill forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. Brian Wallace, WALLACE, Vice President of the Nevada State Education Association, and we stand in solidarity with our union brothers and sisters of Teamsters in opposition to AB 404, and we look forward to the work in progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maggie Carlton, M-A-G-G-I-E, Carlton, C-A-R-L-T-O-N, today representing Culinary Local 226 in the interest of brevity, ditto.
Thank you for your testimony. And we are almost out of time for opposition testimony here in Carson City. And so I know there's quite a few people here. So if you did not get to testify, but you can please stand because you are here in opposition. Thank you. I just want to take the time to say thank you so much for being here with us, for being part of the process. Even though we didn't get to you, if you have any testimony in writing, please make sure you submit it to the committee secretary. Thank you. We will now move to testimony in opposition in Las Vegas. Is there anyone wishing to testify? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record, and once you are done testifying, if you could get up for the next person. You may begin when you're ready.
Good evening, Chair and committee. For the record, my name is Jason Gately, G-A-T-E-L-E-Y. I'm the Secretary Treasurer, Principal Officer for Teamsters Local 14. Will all my Teamster brothers and sisters please stand in support? We appreciate the attempts that Howard Watt has made to make changes to this bill. He's been working with us diligently on trying to find a solution on this matter. This matter is near and dear to us. Good middle-class jobs, good union jobs are what's important to Nevada, is what makes Nevada work. Teamsters make Nevada work. Risking entities to bifurcate or to go around our system right now and to make our jobs less than what they are, we stand in opposition. We hope that Howard Watts will continue to work with us. We want to find resolution. We want to find a way to where everybody can get a taste. We want our taste just as everybody else's. Thank you for your time.
Michael Navarez. Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Michael Navarez. I am a warehouseman and a shop steward for Nevada Beverage Company, a local beverage company distributor where I've been working for 17 years. I am here today to testify opposition to Assembly Bill 404. As someone who works directly in this industry, I have seriously concerns about how this bill could negatively impact workers like myself, our families, and the industry as a whole. Firstly, I would like to address one of the most critical aspects of this bill, safety. Distributors are subject to strict safety standards, licensing, and training programs that ensure the safe transportation and handling of alcohol beverages. These regulations are in place to protect workers like myself and the consumers we serve. If brew pubs are allowed to independently transport, store, and sell malt beverages, they may not be held to the same high standards. This could compromise both worker safety and product quality. Why would we create an environment where workers and consumers are exposed to unnecessary risk? Secondly, this bill could lead to the creation of a market for illegal alcohol distribution without the strict oversight and compliance measures that licensed distributors must adhere to. There is a real risk of illegal alcohol sales and unsafe practices creeping into the marketplace. Not only would this harm the integrity of the industry, but it could also put both workers and consumers at significant risk. This is an outcome that no one, including the small businesses that this bill aims to support, would want. Now, turning to the broader economic and job-related impacts, this bill would significantly reduce the role of licensed distributors.
Sir?
Yes.
If you can please
Yes.
wrap up your testimony, your time is almost up. Thank you.
Okay. Lastly, the reduction of licensed distributors in the state could harm both larger distributors and consumers without consistent oversight and adherence to safety and compliance standards. Consumers may lose access to the reliable service and quality they expect. In conclusion, I strongly urge the committee to carefully consider the negative consequences of Assembly Bill 404. I understand the desire to support local businesses, and I am not against that, but
Sir,
this
I
bill
need you to
in
please
its
wrap
current
up your
form.
testimony. Your time is up.
All right.
Thank
you
you
for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your testimony.
Madam Chair, I'm Lee Fareed. I represent the Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association and Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. Just addressing a few things quickly. We do thank Assemblyman Watts for his amendment. We still think, as drafted, that the bill has unintended consequences and invites any large multinational brewery in the world to take advantage of the loopholes that it creates. We look forward to working to address those concerns. To address the question about why this bill has to happen, I would reiterate what you heard Mr. Alonso say, that existing law in Nevada allows the brew pubs to do everything that they've described that they want to do. There is no compelling need for this legislation. There's no limit on how many brew pubs can be built or their sales out of state. What prevents out-of-state brewers from taking advantage of these opportunities that that brew pubs have under existing law? It's important to remember the production limits as well as the manufacturing on site. That is what the drafters back in the 90s that created these provisions implemented to prevent that unintended consequence of the large breweries from out of state taking over the opportunities that are created by these local businesses. I would also point out that there's a fiscal note attached here that hasn't been discussed that continues to be a concern.
Sir?
Even with the
Sir?
amendment. Yes.
If you can please wrap up your testimony.
Yeah, I will. So we look forward to working on this to ensure that the concerns are addressed so that this bill can protect the three-tier system.
Thank you for your testimony today. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 404, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Again, if you wish to testify in opposition, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Clarissa Principe, K-L-A-R-I-S-S-A, P-R-I-N-C-I-P-E, and I'm a union member of TWU Local 577. I echo the comments of Teamsters on their opposition to AB 404, and I look forward to hearing how changes can be made to better protect the jobs of my union brothers and sisters. Thank you.
C-Y-R-U-S-H-O-J-J-A-T-Y. I stand in opposition. Please make some changes to this bill. I will ditto the previous commentators. Yield my time. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Liz Sorensen. That's L-I-Z, last name S-O-R-E-N-S-O-N. I'm the president of the Nevada State AFL-CIO, and ditto to the comments of my sisters and brothers from Teamsters. So I stand currently in opposition of AB 404. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Beverly Williams, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S. I am calling in opposition of AB 404. More so than ever, we are in need of jobs because of all of the cuts that are happening across the country. I hope that we will be able to continue to talk about AB 404 in hopes that we can come to a resolution. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hi, Samantha Brown on behalf of Capital Beverages. I am opposed directly to AB 404 that violates the three-tier system and it completely cuts out the distributor. Further, most of the wholesale distributors are small family-run businesses of multi-generations. We have 4 generations at Capital Beverages, with Jack Brown being 18 in Carson City, currently opposing this bill as well. And we have some employees who have been with us for 20 to 30 years. We supply stable jobs to the community, and we have for decades. And so I oppose AB 404. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Clarence McCarthy, CLARENCEMCCARTHY. I'm the President Emeritus of the local branch of Letter Carriers NELC Branch 709, and I strongly urge the committee to oppose AB 404. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Gary Watson. I'm the Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 533 in Northern Nevada, and ditto to the previous comments. I strongly urge the committee to oppose AB 404. Thank you.
Chair, we have no more callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in neutral. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 404, please press *9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you, Assembly Member. I will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 404. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 437. This measure provides for the establishment of the Fair Access to Insurance Requirements Plan. Hello, Assembly Member. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Chair Marzola and members of the committee. I'm Jill Dickman, representing Assembly District 31 in Washoe County, and I'm pleased to present AB 437, which establishes the Fair Access to Insurance Requirements Plan. Joining me is Michael Brown. He's with the Nevada State Fire Chiefs Association. So what is a FAIR plan? For property owners who cannot get coverage, fair access to insurance requirements, known as FAIR plans, offer basic insurance protection. Fair access to insurance requirement plans were implemented in several states, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, pursuant to the Urban Property Insurance Protection and Reinsurance Act of 1968. Today, FAIR plans operate in 34 states, plus the District of Columbia. The newest FAIR plan in the nation is in Colorado. It was authorized by Colorado Bill HB 23-1288, signed into law May 12, 2023, and is expected to begin issuing plans in the first half of this year. FAIR plans provide insurance to property owners denied insurance in the voluntary market. These plans operate as insurance pools whereby each insurance company participates in writing higher risk business according to the proportionate share of the property insurance which the company voluntarily underwrites in the state. FAIR plans are designed to cover properties that have unusually high risks, such as wildfires. These plans are policy insurance pools that offer coverage to property owners who can't qualify for traditional homeowners insurance. Typically, FAIR plans provide coverage only for the risk that traditional companies are unwilling to cover. For example, the California FAIR plan covers fire, internal explosions, and smoke damage. In order to have complete coverage, homeowners need to also purchase a difference in conditions plan to cover their other risks, such as liability and damage from other sources, such as wind, water, theft, etc. FAIR plan policies generally cost more than private insurance and offer less coverage, but they serve as a crucial safety net for those who cannot find insurance elsewhere. There's a common misconception that FAIR plans are a state program and a liability for state government. It's really important to note that FAIR plan policies are not insurance provided by the state, nor is the state responsible for covering the cost or losses in a FAIR plan. Insurance companies in a state share all the income and expenses of the plan. For example, this is how the plan of operations for the Colorado FAIR plan reads. The members of the association shall share on a fair and equitable basis all costs, income, and losses incident to the operation of the plan. Accordingly, the assets and liabilities of the association shall be the assets and liabilities of the association's respective members, which they shall share in accordance with their respective membership in the association, as such membership may change from year to year. The state of Colorado shall have no obligation to make payments to the association. FAIR plans operate like any other insurance company, except that the income and losses are shared by the member companies rather than just one insurer. In order to start a FAIR plan, insurers pay an initial capital investment. For example, the Colorado FAIR Plan Board approved a capital assessment of $46.5 million, representing less than 1% of the total written property premium in Colorado. According to the Colorado FAIR Plan website, the assessment will support the plan's operations and financial stability, including the purchase of reinsurance, as well as investing in tools to support and reflect mitigation efforts by home and business owners. This amount is also inclusive of anticipated loss payments for those customers that have claims covered by a FAIR Plan policy. So why is a FAIR Plan needed in Nevada? There's a high risk of wildfires in Nevada. In particular, people residing in areas known for wildfires and high winds are finding it difficult to impossible to obtain insurance through typical market insurers. This issue was discussed at length during a meeting of the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Commerce and Labor on July 31st last year, and many of you probably were there. Insurance Commissioner Scott Kipper gave the following background information. The division has been hearing about potential problems in affordability and accessibility during the past 2 years. The division has performed data calls for homeowners insurance for the years 2023 and 2022 and just completed a data call for commercial habitation risks, that being condominiums and apartment buildings, in order to give us an accurate snapshot of the availability of insurance in our state. The results of our home insurance data calls show there were significant changes to the number of policies canceled or non-renewed due to wildfire risk. In 2022, there were 264 policies that were adversely affected by wildfire risk, in other words, canceled. In 2023, this number increased to 481, which is a change of 82.2%. In 2024, it increased to 2,700, which is a 459% increase. There were also significant changes in the number of applications that were not accepted due to wildfire risk. In 2022, there were 2,439 applications that were declined due to wildfire risk. In 2023, this number increased to 4,994, which is a change of 104%. Of the 481 policies non-renewed in 2023, 261 were located in Washoe County and 69 in Douglas County. Interestingly enough, 54 were in Clark County and 50 in Elko County. In '24, the division was notified by 2 carriers of their plans to non-renew a total of 4,892 homeowners policies due to wildfire risks. As you can see, the trends are starting to get quite alarming. Insurers are declining to issue new coverage in affected areas and in many cases not approving renewals for existing contracts. Already in parts of Nevada, there are no standard companies willing to write insurance policies. In these areas, homeowners can seek coverage in less regulated secondary insurance markets, such as Lloyd's of London, but in many cases, even these policies come with an exclusion for wildfire coverage. Even when companies are still writing insurance in Nevada, they are often requiring additional information and long lead times to write a policy. For example, one insurer in Nevada routinely requires policyholders to pay for a professional home inspection and/or appraisal for their review before they will issue a policy and require a 1 to 2 week review time. Another company requires a dozen photos of the property and surroundings, as well as copies of existing policies or closing documents, a list of all the residents and their occupations, and copies of 2 recent utility bills. Once they receive that information, they require 3 weeks to review it before issuing a quote, in the hope that the client will go somewhere else rather than comply with the extra requirements. The problem, of course, is that consumers in high-risk areas don't have very many other options or places to go. If the numbers of uninsurable homes continue to increase, this will devastate the real estate market because mortgage lenders require insurance, so you can't sell a home that can't be insured. How does the FAIR Plan work in other states? Some folks are skeptical when they hear FAIR Plan because of California. However, the California FAIR Plan is a poor example because it has grown to be one of the main insurers in the state, rather than being an insurer of last resort with small market share as designed. According to a January 25 article in Insurance Journal, California FAIR Plan's policy count has increased by 35% in the 12 months ending September 30th to over 450,000. Why has there been such a large level of growth? Higher losses and regulatory pricing restrictions led many primary insurers to reduce their exposure to the California homeowners market or exit the state altogether. Combined with the large fires in California, this has placed California's FAIR Plan in a precarious position where they may need to assess the companies in the pool as much as $1 billion. However, when we look at the FAIR Plans across the country, we find that of the 32 plans that report to the Property Insurance Plans Service Office, or PIPSO, a nonprofit association whose purpose is to promote the efficient and economical operation of residual property insurance plans, about half of the plans nationwide showed an operational loss, and overall, half the plans showed an operational loss versus about half showing an operational gain. Losses were smaller than gains, and overall, the 32 plans reported a combined operational gain of $923 million. So in order to assure that Nevada's FAIR Plan remains viable, the initial legislation that was drafted, that's before you, was standard for all FAIR Plans. We have a conceptual amendment that I assume you all have that addresses some of the items that we believe are important to keep the FAIR Plan as a true market of last resort. First, we think that one of the most important ways to control the need for the FAIR Plan and to minimize disastrous wildfires is to harden properties against fire. Our amendment would require that FAIR Plan applicants have a wildfire risk assessment and implement the findings of that assessment. In order to ensure that consumers obtain standard insurance when available, the amendment requires that consumers be denied coverage from 3 standard insurers prior to obtaining coverage from the FAIR Plan, and that consumers also seek coverage from at least 3 standard insurers every 2 years while covered by the FAIR Plan. This is an important protection for both the FAIR Plan Association and consumers due to the higher costs of FAIR Plan policies. Because we believe the mitigation component is so important, the amendment calls for 3 fire chiefs to be included on the governing board. This will allow for cooperation between fire experts and insurance experts to minimize property damage and insurance claims in Nevada, which will best serve our constituents. And at this point, I would like to ask Mr. Brown to comment on why we need the fire chiefs involved.
So good evening, Chairman Marzola and members of the committee. My name is Michael Brown, M-I-C-H-A-E-L-B-R-O-W-N, representing the State of Nevada Fire Chiefs Association. As fire chiefs, we may be asked why we are involved with AB 437. Our communities that we protect are seeing an increase in cancellation of insurance for many of the reasons stated by Assemblymember Dickman. We understand that it takes everyone working together to ensure that our homes and commercial buildings have and maintain insurance. We as fire chiefs also believe that when it comes to fuel management efforts for safety and compliance for our communities, we are the authority to provide for the evaluations and recommendations to meet the requirements of our expectations and those of the insurance companies. We appreciate and support Assemblymember Dickman for bringing this bill forward and hope you will support AB 437 as well. Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, Jill Dickman, for the record, do you want me to walk through the sections of the bill?
Yes, quickly.
Okay. All right, so sections 2 through 8 define certain terms relating to the FAIR Plan. In particular, property insurance is defined as insurance against loss to residential property, including buildings and contents of buildings, which results from the perils of fire or perils under extended coverage insurance, vandalism, or malicious mischief. This term does not include vehicle insurance or farm insurance. Section 9 creates the Fair Access to Insurance Requirements Plan Association, which is a nonprofit, unincorporated public entity to establish, offer, and maintain the FAIR Plan. Any authorized insurer that offers or sells certain property insurance or commercial property insurance in the state must be a member of the association. Sections 10 through 12 create the board of directors for the association and prescribe the duties of the board, which include establishing the FAIR Plan, developing a plan of operation for the FAIR Plan, and making amendments to the plan of operation subject to the approval of the Commissioner of Insurance. Section 12 establishes the required contents of the plan of operation for the FAIR Plan. Sections 12 and 17 authorize the Commissioner to adopt regulations relating to the FAIR Plan. Section 13 authorizes the Commissioner to revoke approval or all or part of the plan of operation and make changes to the plan of operation if the plan is insufficient. Sections 14 and 15 establish provisions governing the issuance of policies and collecting certain fees from association members. Section 16 authorizes the Commissioner to take certain actions against an association member who fails to pay certain fees or otherwise comply with the plan of operation for the FAIR Plan. And Section 18 makes a final action or order of the Commissioner relating to the FAIR Plan subject to judicial review. And that's the end of the presentation, so we're happy to take questions.
Thank you for your presentation this evening. Committee members, are there any questions? Assemblymember Cole.
Thank you for this. I think all of us understand that this is an issue. So I'm looking at section 11 where we're talking about how the rates are established, and it says that the rates cannot be excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory. And then we've got the limitation on how much is covered, right? $750,000, I think, for commercial, right? Sorry, yes. So I guess my question is, on the amendment where you're talking about them having to apply every 2 years for standard insurance, is it based on the same limits? Is it the limits that are here? So it's like kind of apples to apples comparison? And does it matter how much that premium is? If it was like 3 or 4 or 5 times what the FAIR Plan was providing, would you still require them to go on that if they were accepted?
Thank you, Assembly Member, for the question. Jill Dickman, for the record. So it's highly unlikely that it would cost less in the private market. So, but the insurance coverages would have to be similar as far as the limits.
So maybe if approved, they would no longer be eligible so long as the premium wasn't 3 times more or 4 times more what the FAIR Plan. Do you know what I mean? Because it would just be unfair to force them off.
Yes, Jill Dickman, for the record. No, I'm sure. And all of this has to be worked out by the board. But no, they would not be required to take a more expensive insurance policy than the FAIR Plan.
Committee members, any additional questions? Speaker Yeager.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you for this bill. And I know you covered this a little bit, but if you could maybe just reemphasize this. So I've heard a lot about what's happening in California. I know they have this sort of it's not the same structure, but they have something similar. And what I've been told is there's not enough money to pay out in terms of replacement costs of the houses that were lost there. So you have folks who are getting a payout, but they're not going to be able to rebuild. And so if you could just maybe talk a little bit again and emphasize, like, how is this bill proposal different from the experience that has taken place in California, and how are we going to be assured that this would be adequate for folks to actually rebuild? Because I think that is the goal, right? If they have to make a claim that they're able to actually rebuild the house versus just take the money and go somewhere else.
So thank you, Speaker Yeager. Jill Dickman for the record. First of all, I'm not an insurance expert, so if you want more details, I will certainly get them for you. But that's why we have this amendment, to make sure that we keep this fairly small, not only people who absolutely cannot get insurance anywhere else, but the pool will be big enough that people will be able to get the coverage that they need. That's kind of the whole point of it. But as you see, we're limited to $750,000 on personal residences, which is fairly low, but it's a start. We have to start somewhere. If we get too large, the pool's going to have to be too big. And, it's like, we've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about it, and there's never any action taken. We're looking for the perfect plan, and if we put this off for a couple of years, we then won't have, as you saw in the Colorado, they passed it in 23. They're not going to be selling policies until now. So if we put it off for 2 years, it's going to be another 2 years. And by that time, we're going to be in a crisis. So I just feel we have to start somewhere.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for that response. And thanks for pointing to that coverage limit. And so I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll just ask it so the record is clear. So, if you have a house that needs to really be insured for more than $750,000. I think about some of the places around Lake Tahoe. I mean, $750,000 would be a steal. You're not getting anything up there for that price. But those folks essentially are still going to end up having the same issue that we have today, right? They're just not going to be able to get insurance coverage for their place. So you're trying to solve this sort of, I guess, $0 to $750,000 on the residential side, and then I think it was $0 to $5 million on the commercial property side.
Thank you, Speaker. Jill Dickman for the record. Yes, that's exactly correct. I mean, as I said, we have to start somewhere. And so I heard a story of a homeowner in Incline Village that had a $9 million property. They were paying $700,000 a year for their insurance. It's now $3 million. So no, obviously we aren't going to be able to help those people, at least not at this point, until this gets set up and gets, we make sure it's viable and it works, and then we go from there. Thank you.
Committee members, any additional questions? I don't see any.
Thank you.
We will begin with support testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in support of AB 437?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Dave Cochran, C-O-C-H-R-A-N. I am the president of the Nevada Fire Chiefs. Assemblymember Dickman did a very thorough job of presenting the bill, and Chief Brown explained our interest in the bill. These are the communities we live in. I think this is very important that we get ahead of it before it becomes a crisis. We are here to support AB 437. Thank you.
Matthew Peterson, M-A-T-T-H-E-W-P-E-T-E-R-S-E-N, not the son of Peter.
I'm the rural representative for Nevada Fire Chiefs. I receive a phone call at least once a week, if not multiple times a week, of, hey, my policy is going to be canceled. I don't have a way out of it. This is a way out of it for us to help our constituents, help our communities continue to grow Nevada. Assemblymember Cole, I appreciate your question last time of what problem are we trying to solve. I think we all acknowledge the problem we're trying to solve, and I hope you guys support this.
For the record, Rich Harvey, H-A-R-V-E-Y. I'm the first vice president of the Nevada Fire Chiefs Association. I wrote it out a little bit, but Chair and members of the committee, the Nevada Fire Chiefs Association strongly supports AB 437, the Fair Access to Insurance Requirements Plan. Not only do Nevada Fire Chiefs get the 911 calls and respond to wildfires in Nevada, we also get the calls that Matt Peterson just alluded to from our constituents when their insurance is non-renewed and or canceled. We work with them on creating defensible space, hardening their structures, and building fire-resistant communities, mitigations that matter. AB 437 is a great backstop to allow the time to implement those mitigations and get back into the regular insurance pool. As Assemblymember Yeager pointed out, that's the goal, to get them off of this and back into that pool by doing those mitigations and working with insurance companies. This is especially critical, though, as the number of non-renewals and cancellations grows from dozens to hundreds to thousands. Fire departments and districts just cannot keep up. We need AB 437 to keep people in their homes, be able to buy and sell their homes, while we work together on the mitigations that matter and harden our communities against wildfire. We support AB 437.
Good evening, Chair Marzola, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matijevich, C-A-D-E-N-C-E-M-A-T-I-J-E-V-I-C-H, representing Washoe County. And this is my second time before this committee, this session, voicing Washoe County's support for a bill that seeks to address the issue of availability of homeowners insurance, particularly homeowners who are experiencing potential cancellation or significant increases in their premiums due to wildfire risk. This bill in particular, we appreciate Assemblymember Dickman bringing it forward. We appreciate that the plan will need to consider mitigation efforts. Those mitigation efforts are really important, and right now not all policies are issued with consideration of that. We think that the involvement of the fire chiefs, the subject matter experts on the board, is really important. And I want to speak to something that Speaker Yeager brought up. You mentioned the limits on commercial policies, and I too am not an expert on insurance, but I've learned a lot over the last 18 months. And I think it's important to point out that in our state, policies that are issued for homeowners insurance, so the blanket policy is considered a commercial policy. It's commercial habitational. So those $5 million, that $5 million limits is going to apply in our understanding of the bill to those HOA policies. And those have been some of the most challenging things for members of our community to get, particularly in Washoe County. So that's an important piece of this. As you heard from me on the last bill on this topic, condos and townhouses serve as workforce housing for us, and particularly in the Lake Tahoe area. So we think that's a very important component of the bill. We urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in support? Don't see anyone. I don't see anyone in Las Vegas broadcast. Is there anyone on the line?
To testify in support for Assembly Bill 437, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Cyrus Hojati, C-Y-R-U-S, H-O-J-J-A-T-Y. I support this bill. Thank you so much, Assemblywoman Dickman, for introducing this bill. I will ditto the previous commentators. I can't go any further. I'm driving on the Strip. Big convention town. Thank you.
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers for support at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in opposition. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition? Okay. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 437, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits 587, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Christian Rataj, spelled R-A-T-A-J. I'm with the National Association of Mutual Insurance Companies. We're a national trade that has property and casualty, workers' comp, commercial liability carriers who write about a third of the business in the state of Nevada. I appreciate this opportunity to testify here. We're more concerned than we are specifically opposed to the bill. We're concerned because the bill is fraught with a multitude of unintended adverse consequences and cost implications for the market and for consumers. I know my colleagues at APCIA have outlined these in their written testimony, and we support that statement, so I won't belabor the point. NAMIC believes that we should fix the underlying challenges in the marketplace, not put a temporary bandage on the issue. As you've heard, there's been a lot of testimony about concerns about what's happened in California, and I think that's an example of how you can create a fair plan and then it could go from being an insurer of last resort to an insurer of first resort. So we believe that a healthy marketplace is one where you don't need to have an insurer of last resort. And that should be the focus, is to promote a healthy marketplace. Otherwise, you have an insurer of last resort with cost implications and a lot of insurance coverage limitations and very strict guidelines for consumers. So what's a healthy marketplace? It's a robust market competition marketplace. It's an actuarially sound risk-based pricing marketplace. It's a regulatory environment that allows for timely and cost-effective rate review and approval marketplace. It's a flexible underwriting and use of risk modeling marketplace. It's an adoption of scientifically supported wildfire risk mitigation practices marketplace. This is why NAMIC supports the concept of AB 376, which addresses rate reform and adopts a regulatory sandbox to help streamline, economize, and expedite the process. Let's fix the underlying problem or challenge. Let's not put a bandage on it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Chair, we have no more callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will move to neutral testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 437, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you. Assemblymember, would you like to give any final remarks?
Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to say I would like to agree with the opposition caller. Everything he said is pretty much true, and that's why we've addressed all of those concerns. But I'm just most grateful for you taking the time to hear this bill. We have a crisis brewing, and this is a real opportunity to help our constituents before it gets out of hand. Time is of the essence, as I said in my remarks earlier, 2 years before once it was passed to once it was implemented in Colorado. So anyway, I hope you will agree with me that the FAIR Plan can be the answer. We can provide the insurance market of last resort that's worked well in over 30 states, and I ask for your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us. I will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 437. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 448. This measure revises provisions relating to insurance for vision care. Good evening. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Marzola, and thank you to the Committee on Commerce and Labor for allowing us to present this bill tonight. My name is Greg Koenig, Koenig. I represent Assembly District number 38. We realize you guys have been in here for a really, really long time, and we will try to keep this as short as possible. So this bill actually is a continuation from a bill from last session. Last session it was brought by Senator Severs-Gansert, and it passed on the Senate side, and it passed this body, and it was signed by the governor, and it became a law. In the interim, we found out that there was a few loopholes that we didn't close, and the vision benefit managers have taken advantage of this. And even though our intentions of what we as this body wanted to accomplish, I think by taking advantage of the loopholes, they are circumventing what our intent was. So we do have one quick amendment. I'm going to turn to Mr. Thompson to go over the amendment, and then we're going to have Steve cover a little bit, and we will try to get you guys out of here as soon as we can.
Good evening, Chair Marzola. For the record, Danny Thompson, representing the Nevada Optometric Association, Thompson, Thompson. And let me tell you, as a former lifelong union guy who negotiated a lot of contracts, you guys are technically on double time now. So if it's not on your paycheck, call Rick McCann, because I'm sure he can help you with that. We listened to the opposition to this bill, and so we proposed an amendment this morning. In effect, the amendment would remove Section 26, which originally required equal reimbursement for optometrics and physicians for the same service within a shared scope of practice. That's the same reimbursement for doctors and optometrists. That would be stricken from the bill. And then Section 37, subsection 2B, would be removed as well, which had previously required reimbursement to be reasonable and substantially similar to Medicare rates. In effect, we have removed all of the reimbursement language from this bill, and the reimbursements will not change. And so with that, Chair Marzola, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Giertzen to make his remarks.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dr. Steve Gershkin. For the record, Stevegirsgen. I am an optometrist proudly practicing in Henderson, Nevada for 30 years. I am the current president of the Nevada Optometric Association and represent over 300 doctors providing primary eye care services all throughout Nevada. We provide comprehensive medical and wellness examinations, caring for patients with an array of conditions from dry eyes, red eyes, glaucoma, chronic disease management, all along with the routine needs of eyeglasses and contact lenses. Our goal simply is to ensure that Nevadans receive the affordable access to timely and preventative primary eye care services. However, we do find it increasingly difficult to provide care due to market consolidation, vertical integration, monopolization, and the anti-competitive business practices of vision benefit managers. AB 448 will address many of the unfair and really anti-competitive practices being used against Nevada doctors and our patients. The bill presents measures to ensure patient choice and fair access to eye care while leveling the playing field between large, vertically integrated vision benefit managers and small doctor-owned practices. Just like pharmacy benefit managers have done, vision benefit managers have reduced patient choice, decreased market competition, increased the cost of care, and impacted the care our patients receive. VBMs act in the same manner as pharmacy benefit managers, where they have lack of transparency with their business practices. I'm very happy to report, to date, we have 28 states across the country that have addressed VBM abuses and passed laws against their abuses and anti-competitive practices. Just last week, we had Arkansas signing a wide-sweeping law balancing the playing field with VBMs and providers placing the decision-making back in the hands of patients and their doctors. In the last decade, Boy, have we seen a lot. There's been a lot of massive vertical integration in the vision care market, and it may be surprised to hear there's two very large and powerful vision benefit managers that control over 85% of covered lives. That's incredible. The major problem is that the owners of the VBMs are also buying up all other aspects of the eye care industry, creating multi-billion-dollar vertically integrated conglomerates. This drives down competition, as you all know, and drives up our patient and provider costs. So what do these companies do? Well, they manufacture most of the eyeglass lenses and frames on the market. They own frame lines such as Oakley, Ray-Ban, Prada, Versace, Dolce & Gabbana, Coach, and I could keep going. We don't have time. They also own eyeglass lines such as Verilux, Transitions, Unity, and they also own the labs that produce them. They own brick and mortar and online optical retail stores such as LensCrafters, Target Optical, VisionWorks, Sunglass Hut, Pearl Vision, and on and on. They own the electronic health records, allowing access to all of our patients' information, lending to privacy concerns. They also own the claims filing systems. What don't they own? Which are inefficient, costly, and burdensome to the small business operator. They're even buying up doctors' offices themselves. So furthermore, what's even more egregious, the VBMs are misleading the public and acting in a non-transparent manner as they tier providers and steer patients to doctors, not based on what you think, which is quality of care, but instead to those who buy more of the vertically integrated organization's products and even incentivize patients to see the doctors at the clinics they own. They often reimburse doctors at different rates based on whether the doctor uses the VBM's lab services and how much of the products they sell, or really, should I say, upsell. As a result, there is this tremendous imbalance of power favoring vision benefit managers and their vertically integrated organizations. And what this has allowed is they have created, I should say, self-serving programs due to their monopsony, I had to look that word up, monopsony-like advantages. This imbalance of power has allowed the vision benefit managers to impose contracts of adhesion, one-way contracts, with burdensome terms of participation in their network provider agreements, such as they mandate providers to use VBM-affiliated suppliers and labs. You say, what's the big deal? Well, what you don't know is they force the doctors to use the VBM-affiliated labs and suppliers, and the VBMs impose a higher cost for providing those services and their branded products by as much as 50% more than what could be negotiated in a free market between a provider and, let's say, a local lab. And of course, this drives up costs for all consumers. VBMs require doctors to provide discounts on non-covered services and products at the doctor's expense, often at our cost or at a loss to the practice. That's the imbalance of power. To make matters worse, we passed SB 134 2 years ago, which allows provider lab choice and disallows VBM mandated discounts on non-covered services. So why are we here? Well, unfortunately, the VBMs, as they have done across the country, as they have found loopholes that sidestep our laws. For example, they hide behind these never-ending, evergreen contracts to not comply with the intent of the law. This is not only wasteful of all of our time and yours, but highly disrespectful towards the Nevada legislative body, as we're back here again with yet again another bill. Just like pharmacy benefit managers, VBMs have restricted care for patients, reduced patient transparency, escalated patient costs, and really only increased their profits. Lastly, AB 448 is necessary to maintain competitive markets, protect against unfair contracts, ensure enforcement, because we just dealt with that, and lower the cost of eye care. All Nevadans deserve the very best in eye care. Thank you. I'm happy to answer questions.
For the record, Danny Thompson, we can go through section by section if you would like. I know you soon will be on triple time, but we can do that. It's a long bill.
I think unless they have any specific questions, we probably will forego that at this point.
will not disagree with you tonight. And with that, committee members, are there any questions? Assemblymember Cole.
By eliminating, thank you, Chair, by eliminating the reimbursement section, does that get rid of the unfunded mandate part?
Yes, it does. And there will be no increase to the state because we're not asking for hiring. Right now, if you're an MD, you would get reimbursed at this rate, and an OD would get reimbursed at this rate. So if we asked to be the same, that would increase that. We realize what state the finances we are at this point, so we're not asking for any increases. So there's not a financial part to this anymore.
May I add one? This is Steve Gershkin for the record. If I may add to that as well, please. It was a very painful decision to make on our behalf, and we made it unilaterally. I just want to provide some context here. VBMs have not increased reimbursement rates since the 1990s. They pay us $40, $50, and $60 for a comprehensive eye exam, just as they did back in the 90s. Medicare and Medicaid pays us 3 times that amount. And as you all know, that's supposed to be the floor. They pay us significantly less, although along their vertical chain, they charge us more over the years for frames, lenses, lab services, and these are, of course, mandates by them that they force us to consume those products, purchase, and sell. It's simply unfair. However, we were very sensitive to the matter of possible increases in cost to the state and members, so we took that out. Thank you.
Committee members, any additional questions? I don't see any. So we will begin with testimony in support of Assembly Bill 448. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in support? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You each have 2 minutes.
Good evening, Chair and Committee. My name is Chris Moran, M-O-R-A-N. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I work for a large optometry practice in Southern Nevada. My role with the company is Director of Community Outreach. I work very closely with children and families in the underserved and uninsured communities of our state. My role is to bring the company's mission forward, which is access to affordable eye care for all Nevadans. I want to share with you today how a lack of access to vision care can profoundly affect children in particularly, especially their self-esteem and their overall well-being. Many of us take clear vision for granted, but for a child who can't see the board at school, read a book, or recognizes faces from a distance, every day can feel like a struggle. I've worked with children who were labeled as slow learners or disruptive, when in fact they simply couldn't see. Imagine being told you're not trying hard enough, when in reality you're doing your best to just focus on the blurry letters. This kind of experience chips away at the child's confidence, all because of a correctable issue they cannot control. Every child deserves to see the world clearly, and more importantly, to see themselves as capable and worthy. No one wants to talk about the emotional toll that comes when a child needs glasses and their family simply can't afford them. The greatest obstacles families face is price. And parents often ignore or dismiss a child's visual needs because they are embarrassed because they simply can't afford it. And the most heartbreaking part is this is all preventable. When we ignore the affordability gap in vision care, we're not just failing their eyes, we're failing their future, and we're damaging their self-esteem in ways that can last for years. Every child deserves the dignity of clear sight and self-worth that comes with it. I ask you to please support this bill. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. H. Kenneth Kopolow, K-O-P-O-L-O-W, and I've been practicing optometry in Las Vegas since 1993. This bill is so extensive because it addresses all of the workarounds and tricks that vertically integrated companies have devised to evade the enforcement of previously passed bills. My goal today is to address several key points that the opposition will likely raise. One, VBMs require that providers supply extraneous data such as medical diagnoses and frame measurements that are entirely self-serving and are frequently used to market to our patients and often interfere with the healthcare cycle they claim to want to protect so dearly. 18.1, Section 18.1 in our bill does not prohibit, as they stated in some of their circulars, does not prohibit the passing on of discounts to members. Rather, it prohibits VBMs from mandating discounts from the providers to the patients for services that are not even covered under their plan. Vision plan premiums are low because in a vertically integrated arrangement, they serve as an incentive to attract participants to their wholesale partners and retail outlets. In real life, we encounter confused and unhappy patients daily, typically due to high out-of-pocket expenses, limited material selection, and sub-market delivery times for their eyewear. The opposition has historically claimed that patient protection, also known as vision plan abuse legislation, denies consumers transparency. I respectfully urge this committee to examine this issue thoroughly. Specifically, questions can be raised regarding confusing plan language, significant upselling to members, and the fact that VBMs are now working with their parent and sibling companies to negotiate fees on behalf of independent eye doctors in our state. This committee may also wish to inquire whether or not VBMs are actually operating as optometric owners in Nevada, which may violate multiple NRS and NAC provisions. I'm asking the distinguished members of this committee to reflect on any personal experiences you may have had with vision plans, vote on behalf of the people you serve, and pass AB 448. Thank you, and good evening.
Hello, Dr. Jonathan Mather for the record. It's good to see many of you for the third session and running. Big thank to Chair Marzola for pushing the committee back today so I didn't have to reschedule my patients. Thanks for getting that memo. I know, I'm just kidding. Sometimes you gotta laugh, guys. It's the only way to get through the night. So I'm here in support of AB 448. I'd like to address something that is unique to medical plans. A lot of times when you're looking for a doctor, you go to the website and you type in your location or share your location, if you don't mind them watching you, and you're gonna get a list of doctors, either alphabetical or by who's the closest to you. But in the tiering and steering that vision plans do, instead they list the doctors that sell the most of their products. They list the doctors that maybe are owned or operated behind the scenes by the vision plans themselves. And it's very misleading. Patients think that the doctor at the top of the list is going to be the best one, the one who cares the most about them, the one who provides the highest quality of service. And that's not the case. It's simply the doctor who makes the most money for the vision plans. So one of the things that we've done excellently in this bill, last time we tried to address one issue and it kind of was not reasonably well done. So we made a huge and an ironclad bill that is going to get rid of all the loopholes that vision plans had to sidestep these things. So I think it's important to include all of this other language that we have. We have many states and many other optometry associations that have found that vision plans can sidestep these things. And we don't want to be back here again in 2027. As much as I like you all, we'd like this to be solved once and for all. And for that reason, I really appreciate your support for AB 448. Shout out to my man PK in the corner. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in support? I don't see anyone. In Las Vegas, you may begin when you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Marzola and members of the committee. My name is Spencer Quinton, SpencerQuinton. I'm past president of the Nevada Optometric Association. I've practiced optometry in Vegas and Henderson nearly for 26 years now, and I'm here in support of AB 448. The colleagues there have done a great job. I don't need to go into any detail other than I would like to witness firsthand that I have seen so many instances of the negative effects of these vertically integrated business practices on patients in our state. People who've had to pay out of pocket, even though they had benefits because they needed something from a local lab that they couldn't wait weeks for, or a product that was not made by one of the vision plans labs that we were otherwise forced to use. And so patients have had to either go without or pay out of pocket. And we've all seen this, and we all have seen the disintegration of the patient-doctor relationship. And so I urge support of AB 448, and thank you for all of your help.
Thank you for your testimony. I don't see anyone else in Las Vegas broadcast. Is there anyone on the line?
To testify in support for Assembly Bill 448, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 783, please press star 6 to unmute yourself. Caller, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Steve Orrico, Steveorrico. I work for a large public utility company and support a family. Over the past several years, I have noticed my vision plan has provided far less value and forced me to pay much more in out-of-pocket dollars while receiving lower quality services for those dollars. I feel like I'm losing my ability to choose where I go for my family's eye care. I've also noticed that some of my friends who do not have vision benefits receive their glasses in days when we usually wait around 2 weeks to receive our glasses. I hope AB 448 passes so the vision benefits we pay for will provide real value to my family. Thank you very much.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 972, you are unmuted and you may begin. Caller, please check that you are unmuted on your end. You are unmuted on our end. Chair, there appears to be an issue with this caller. Would you like to move on to the next one?
Yes, please.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 440, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Good evening. My name is Bernard Preston. I've lived in Henderson, Nevada for the last 20 years, and I've worked for the state of Nevada, city of Las Vegas, and currently as a consultant for Social Security Administration. I have spent majority of my life advocating access to services for at-risk population, particularly individuals with visual impairments and or low vision. I have seen firsthand how at-risk populations do not have proper access to basic services. Eye care is just one of those services that Nevadans need. Many Nevadans who may not qualify for Medicaid must either use traditional vision plans or pay cash. As you all know, the cost of getting glasses is very high. As a result, the high cost is a barrier to gaining access to viable eye care services. I hear from my clients and constituents that vision plans do not help them save money. In fact, they can pay cash and often save money and get their glasses faster. I have firsthand experienced this with my own eye care needs. Please pass AB 448 as all Nevadans deserve to have affordable eye care. Thank you for all your time.
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers for support at this time.
We will move to testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 448. Is there anyone here in Carson City? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record.
Dougstoss, Doug Stoss, VSP Vision.
Chair Marzola, members of the committee, I am Doug Stoss, and I lead government affairs at VSP Vision. There were a number of statements made in the testimony from the proponents. We don't have time to cover all those this evening, but we will attempt to clarify some of those. We are proud to provide eye care and eyewear for more than 500,000 Nevadans. It is for those members and your constituents that we respectfully oppose Assembly Bill 448. And I wanted to highlight 3 points. First, vision care is an important component of overall health care. 1 in 5 diabetics learns that they're a diabetic through an annual eye exam. Not surprisingly, consumers and patients that have vision insurance are more likely to get that annual vision exam. Anything that raises the cost of coverage, therefore, has a potential negative impact for public health here in Nevada. Second, the bill will raise or take away, on average, $400 in savings due to a prohibition on programs that provide discounts to consumers. Taking away discounts means patients in need of eyewear will pay more for frames and lens enhancements. Third, this bill is expansive, as you've heard from the proponents. It puts in place new regulatory requirements on vision plans that will drive up administrative costs and ultimately get passed on to consumers. This legislation is also similar to a bill passed in 2023 in Texas. That law has been under preliminary injunction for exactly 13 months today, with the district court indicating a substantial likelihood of success on the underlying merits of the case for the plaintiffs. As a further example, Section 18 of the bill would put in place a gag order on vision care plans from telling its members where they could go for lower price
If you can please
eyewear.
wrap up your testimony.
Sure. In closing, we strive to support doctors on our network, but we must look out for the needs of our members. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Marzola and Committee. Shelley Capurro, representing the Nevada Association of Health Plans. And we want to thank the sponsor for meeting with us. But we do oppose AB 448 because of the significant cost and care impacts these mandates and prohibitions, as provided in the bill, will have on consumers. For instance, vision plans will no longer be able to fully qualify providers and conduct due diligence, therefore creating safety concerns for patients. Vision plans will also be prohibited from relaying to members information about available out-of-pocket discounts, meaning that members will no longer have readily available and accessible information to make the best financial decisions for their care. We are concerned that the bill deprives consumers of access for helpful and accurate information about access to care and the lower cost options that they do have available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Katie Hale on behalf of the Health Services Coalition. We are here in opposition to AB 448. Some of our plans contract with fully insured vision plans to provide a benefit to the participant in a cost-effective way. This can include the use of specified labs and materials and limiting the use of in-network providers. Labs and materials passes savings on to the patient. AB 448 prevents plans from negotiating and passing on important savings to consumers for materials and supplies. The bill prevents plans from differentiating among providers based on educational achievements, forcing overly high reimbursement rates to lesser qualified providers. It also raises the cost of insurance by creating a new litigation path for alleged violations and creates a private right of action. The legislature has already worked extensively on these issues. There was a significant vision insurance reform from SB 134 in the 2023 legislation and SB 436 from the 2021 legislative session. We anticipate significant cost increases for vision plans should AB 448 pass, and we ask the committee to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 448. Please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits 676, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Thank you very much. Madam Chairman Marzola and committee members, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today in regards to AB 448. For the record, my name is Julian Roberts, JULIAN ROBERTS. I'm the Executive Director for the National Association of Vision Care Plans. NAVCP membership consists of 15 vision care plans that provide vision benefits to over 220 million Americans and over 2.3 million here in the state of Nevada. I will mention that here in the state of Nevada, that you've got to look at, if you look at transactional data in regards to the market, that 41% of the market is self-pay market. And even if you look at the two largest participants in the market, they only make up to 27 to 24% of that market. So it's still a very competitive market here in Nevada. We stand in opposition to AB 448 as currently drafted. This bill would have significant negative consequences for Nevadans, particularly in terms of affordability and access to vision care. Firstly, AB 448 would increase consumer costs for vision care by an estimated 30%, while erasing average savings of nearly $400 per person. Moreover, AB 448 conflicts with existing law, Nevada SB 329, passed in 2021, which promotes cost-saving measures like hearing and steering to help consumers more in making more informed choices and lower the health care cost. AB 448 would undermine those efforts by restricting such practices and limiting transparency.
Sir,
and driving up
sir, can you please wrap up your testimony?
Yes. In summary, AB 448 is not only unnecessarily harmful to Nevada, but we ask that you reject the bill in favor of policies that are truly prioritizing affordability and access to vision care.
Thank you for your testimony. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Chair, we have no more callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will move to neutral testimony. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? I don't see anyone. I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 448, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits 972, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Malik Brown, and I live in Las Vegas. I'm a proud member of our community, providing trucking services for the past 20 years. I am in support of AB 448 that provides fairness between vision benefit managers and doctors.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
we have closed support testimony. If you have your testimony in writing, if you could please submit it to the committee secretary.
Yeah, because I tried to get in through support and it wouldn't connect.
Okay, go ahead and finish.
It wouldn't connect at the time that I tried.
Okay, no problem. You can go ahead.
Okay.
We'll move back to support testimony if you can finish.
Okay, thank you. In support, consolidation occurring in all segments of business, however, I feel compelled to speak out about how it impacted me. Last year, I broke my glasses and went in for an emergency visit with my optometrist, as I needed my glasses right away. You see, I am farsighted and cannot drive my truck without my glasses. I was very disappointed when I was told I would get my glasses back in 10 to 14 business days. I needed my glasses to drive the next day to take a load to California. Apparently, my doctor had to use an out-of-state lab, which is owned by the vision plan. Because my plan could not get my glasses back faster to me, I had to go outside of my vision plan and pay cash for my glasses. I was able to get my glasses on the same day. Because my doctor could use a local lab and get me back on the road.
Sir?
Come to find out, yes,
Sir,
ma'am.
your 2 minutes is up, so we will move your testimony in support. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line for neutral?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Are you calling on neutral testimony? Hello? Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, hi, hello. I'm calling in support of. I tried, but it under that area, but it didn't connect.
We have closed support testimony. You can submit your support testimony in writing to the committee secretary, and we will make sure that it's available to everyone. Thank you for calling in.
Okay.
Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Chair, we have no more callers for neutral.
Thank you. Assemblymember, would you like to give some very brief remarks?
Very brief. Greg Koenig for the record. If I wasn't an optometrist, I'd be a lawyer. So my tendency is want to write down everything and then rebut all the points. But I do want to point out, I really think that the person that called in opposition didn't get our amendment, because most of what they were saying didn't address the amendment that we had. The other quick thing too is he said we're in the high 40s of private pay patients. That would be a dream, but that's not even close. So, and I just want to say, are we going to do what's best for our patients and for the citizens in Nevada, or are we going to do what's best for the insurance companies and the VBMs? So, and then I told Steve he can have 2 minutes.
Thank you. For the record, Steve Gershkin. I promise I won't take that long, but I do just want to make a couple points. AB 448 is about fairness and contracting. It's about putting common sense guardrails. When you have the VBMs, 2 VBMs controlling such a large marketplace, they have the power to do what they will. Contracts of adhesion are a real thing that we deal with every day. We're looking for patient, provider, and freedom of choice and transparency. They're not about transparency. The opposition made a comment about a gag order. They're placing the gag order on us. When you come into our practice, if I can get you a cash option, I cannot give that to you. If I give that to you and circumvent your benefits, I get thrown off the panel. Who's the gag order at that point? And the third item, they talk about the same tiring story of increased costs, increased premiums. We've passed this in 28 states. There has been no increase in premiums. The only thing that's happening is increased out-of-pocket costs from dwindling benefits, and these VBMs continue to make tens of billions of dollars and excess profits to continue to buy more of the industry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 448. I will now open up for public comment. Please address your remarks to issues that fall within the jurisdiction of this committee. Is there anyone wishing to give public comment in Carson City? I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Again, if you wish to provide public comment, please press star 9.
Good evening. I'm having some problems today. Can you hear me okay, Madam Chair?
Yes, we can hear you. Are you calling in for public comment?
Yes, ma'am. I am.
Okay, you may begin when you're ready. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Robert Compan, C-O-M-P-A-N. I reside in Assembly District 1. I'm a former lobbyist who spent hundreds of hours in that committee room, and I know I agree with Danny, you guys should be on triple time tonight. I'll be brief in my comments, Madam Chair. I wholeheartedly support Assembly Bill 448. As a retiree, I have the option to choose between self-pay vision and insurance and Medicare.
Sir, we have closed the bill hearing on Assembly Bill 448. If you have any testimony, please submit it in writing. We are now in public comment. Public comment is not the time.
Madam Chair, I am in public.
Public comment is not the time to discuss the bill that we just heard and closed a hearing on. Is there anything else you wish
well, I
to?
respectfully. No, ma'am. I've been trying to get on all tonight, kept on kicking off, but that's no problem. I've submitted it. If the committee manager has my testimony, that'd be just fine. And
Perfect.
I wish you all a very good night.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Bye. Have a good evening.
Likewise. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers choosing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you. This will conclude our meeting for today. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, April 9th at 11:30. This meeting's adjourned.